Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back. So as in the previous video, we decided that we will be using Elementor Page Builder for this particular course. In this video, we will be working up with the basics of Elementor. Now Elementor is quite confusing when you start learning it, but as you progress with this course, you will find that Elementor is the easiest plugin out there in the market. Now there are three things that confuses beginners the most, and those are sections, columns, and elements. And Elementor revolves around these three things. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. Let's take a basic structure of Elementor Page Builder, which is this. So now here is basically the basic boilerplate of Elementor. And you can see that I have made some squares, and this is right here. Now this blue square that is right here will be considered as a section, and S represents that. The maroon square right here will be considered as a column, and C represents that. And then this blue line, which is really very thin, will represent the element. So right here, you can see that first of all we have this section, and inside this section we have a column, and inside this column we have an element. So element can be anything. Element can be like a heading, element can be like a paragraph, an element can be like an image, an element can be like animation boxes that we will be adding on our website like this. So everything that is coming right here will be considered as element, whether it is this, whether it's a button, whether it's a heading, whether it's an image, or whether it's an icon box. Everything will be considered as an element. So now basically the number one thing is basically the section. And inside this section, you can add a column, and inside that column, you can add multiple elements. Now, here comes one thing. An element can be stacked under the other element or above the element, which means that inside this section, you can see I have a column, and inside this column, I have two elements. So I can do it like that. Like inside this column, I have one element, and then I have two elements. Let's take a look at it. First of all, what I want you guys to do is to make sure that you install the Elementor Page Builder, and then you are in the Elementor Page Builder on your home page. Now, once you will be on your home page, make sure that there is nothing, and your home page should look like this. So first of all, what we need to do is that we need to add a section. And what we will do, we will just click on this plus button over here, and the section is added in the background. Now it's telling you that how many columns you want to add. So we want to add a one single column so that we can add elements in it. So what we will do is that we will just select that we want to add one single column. And right here, you can see that this blue line that is coming will represent the section, and this dotted line that is coming will represent the column. And then in here, you can add elements inside this. So let's take a look at it. If I want to get the heading, I'm going to drag the heading and I'm going to drop it, and you can see that the heading has been headed here. Same like this, what I can do is that I can add a paragraph. I can just drop it, and this is going to be added here. But let's suppose that I want this heading to be here, and then I want some other elements right here before that. Like let's suppose that I need an image to be right here, but I can only stack the image either below any element or above any element, like which means that I can only add elements vertically. I cannot add the elements horizontally. And here comes the part of the column. So if you want to add anything horizontally, then you can add two columns like this. You can see that inside a section, you can add two columns into it, and you can design something like this. So inside this section, I have one column. In this column, I have an image, and the other column, I have a heading, I have a paragraph coming. So let's take a look at it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just click cross on it, and I'm going to just click on this sign right here, and I'm going to say that I need two columns. Now here you can see I have two columns. Now what I will do is that in the first column, I will drag an image, I will drop it, and here now I can upload the image, but I will not show you how to upload it. We will be just understanding it later on. This video is just only for understanding about sections, columns, and elements. That's it. You do not have to worry about styling, how to style it, how to do different type of things. We will be talking about them later on. And then in here I can drag a heading. Just click this button over here that says this, so that you can go into the elements page and you can drag anything else over here. And now right here I can add a paragraph, and then I can just select all. I can copy, I can paste, and paste. And now you can see that my structure right here is that I have an image, and then in here I have a heading, and then I have a paragraph. And same goes with this. Like, I have a section, and inside this section I have a column, and inside this column I have an image, and in the other column I have a heading, and then I have a sentence, or I have a paragraph. Now let's take a look at this. If I just click on it and I just open up my Elementor editor, first of all I have this section. This blue thing represents the section, alright? And then inside this section I have a column. When I bring my mouse to it, you can see that the column is right here, and this dotted line that is coming represents the column, and then this other column which is coming right here represents this. So what have we learned so far? We learned one thing, basically two things, is that elements can be stacked over one another vertically, which means that you can add an element, and then right below that or right above that you can add another one. Or what you can do is that you can also add any other element in between them. But if you want to add elements side by side, then you need to work with the columns, because columns can work horizontally, which means that you can stack columns horizontally. You can even just change their spacing. So let me show you. Like, you can see that if I need the image to be much smaller, I'm going to just hover my mouse to this, and you can see this sign right here. I'm going to drag this, and I'm going to do it like this. And now you can see how this column is much more shorter and how this column is much more bigger. So this is how you can even do it. Same like this, you can add multiple columns so that your columns can look like this. Like, you can add 1 column, 2 column, and 3 column, and you can do it like that. So let's suppose that I need to add one more column. What I will do is that I will right click on this column, and here it says add new column. I'm going to click on it, and I have another column. And here I can add pretty well anything. Like, let's suppose that I want to add Google Maps. I'm going to drop it right here, and here will be the Google Maps. I can just add the address, and here will be the Google Map coming. So I can even do it like this. Now let's go ahead and let's move back to the first part where we understand it about the section. So section is basically a part of a website. That means that in this section, what you can do is that you can add particularly anything. So let's take a look at this website that we will be building as our second project for this particular course. So here you can see that this is how the website will look like. And here, this is actually a one section. This is actually another section. And this is actually another section that we have over here. So inside this section, now here you can see that inside this section, we have a column, which is right here. And inside this column, we have a text element, and we have another text element stacked over one another. Now, what is this? This is basically a section, and inside this section, we have 4 columns, which is this, and inside this column, we have a text element. So this is how basically it's working. Same like this is a section, and inside this section, we have 1 column, and then we have another column, and then we have another column. So here we have basically 3 columns, and this is how it's looking. Now you have noticed one thing. Let me show you what. If I just open up this website, and then I just cross it right here, and then I want to add a 1 single column. Now here you can see that the section takes the full width of the page. However, the column is just like that. Now let me show you what I mean. Basically, you can see that the section takes the full width of the page and the column takes just like a limited width of page. Now this is great in terms of websites, like if a website is viewed on a large screen, then if you are using a background image, then you can upload that background image to a section so that it won't matter. However, the text should be aligned in such a way that it should be using that. So let me show you. Like you can see that when I just drag and drop, just do it like this, so you can see that my content, everything that's been right here is just like aligned this way. So you can see that everything is aligned this way. Now if I just bring my mouse above here, so you can see how everything is working. Now this is actually the column. The section can stretch, and in the section you can add a background color, and in the section you can just either keep it to be white, and in the section you can even add a background image. And mostly the sections contain the background images so that even if a website is viewed on a large screen device, then it would not matter. But the content of the column is actually this way, so that the column sizing is universal for whole website, so that the website view is not changed. And you can see how great this website is looking. Same goes with the Elementor, because in the Elementor the section is actually the full width. However, the column is actually the size that you can work with. You can just click on this edit column and you can work with the column width, like how much you need, and you can pretty well work with it. But we will be talking about that later on in the detail. First we have to understand the section and column. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at another one. Now here you can see that first of all we have this section, and then we have another section. Now sections can be stacked vertically. Now what have we learned so far? Elements can be stacked vertically, which means that after an element you can add an element. The column can be stacked horizontally. That means that right after this column you can add a column, and you cannot add a column below any column. So you can just add a column beside a column, but you can add elements beneath an element or above the element. Same goes with the section. And the section is that after the section you can add another section that will come right after this. You cannot have sections like this section and then another section right here. You cannot do it this way. Let's have a look at that. So you can see that first of all I have a section, and inside this section I'm going to get a heading right here, and right down below now I can add another section, and in this section I can have a 2 column, and in the first column I can have an image, and in the second one I can have a text, and I can have a paragraph right down below. So you can see that this is how it's working. Now I have 2 sections. First I have this section, and then I have this section. Now you can see if I want to edit this section I can edit it, and for the editing purposes we will be having a separate video, so do not worry about it. But what we wanted to learn is that first you can have a section, and then right after that you can have a section. And same is happening with this website. We have a section, and after that we have another section, and after that we have another section, and inside that we are having columns, so do not worry about it. But let's take a look at something, which is this. Can you just add columns vertically as well? Like let's suppose that if we want to add a section, and inside this section we want to add column, column, column. Like columns can be stacked horizontally, but can the columns be stacked vertically? Let's go ahead and let's test it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just close this, and I'm going to add just like 3 columns. Now you can see that the 3 columns are right here. But let's suppose that I want to add another column right down below. Can I do that? If I just go ahead and I just click add a new column, the column will be stacked horizontally. I cannot just bring the column down below. I can just change its position to right, left, 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 left. I can do it like that, but I cannot just do up down. So how can you do that so that your column can look like this and we can achieve a design like this? So you can see that I have columns and then I have columns. So if I want to achieve a design like this, how I'm going to do that? So you can see this is actually a section, and then inside this section I have a column, and inside this column I have this, and then I have this right here. So how can we basically achieve this design? Let's take a look at this. Now there are two solutions for that. Let's take a look at them and let's understand them. What you can do is that you can create two sections, like this section and then this section, and then in this section you can have three columns, and in this section you can have three columns, and then you can design it to be looking like this. Alright, so let's take a look at that and let's understand how it's going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cross this. I'm going to create a new section with three columns. And then in these columns, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to uncheck this pro right here, and I'm going to get this icon box right here, and I'm going to drop it right here. So you can see that in this website, we are actually using the icon box. All right. So this is right here. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this icon box. I'm going to duplicate this icon box, and I have three icon boxes over here. Now I'm going to drag this icon box over here, and I'm going to drag this icon box over here. So now you can see that this is how it's looking. But if I want to add another column into it, then I cannot drag this column right down below. And the tweak to that is that what you can do is that you can add a new section with the same three columns again. And then what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can duplicate it, and you can just drag it right here. Then you can go ahead and you can duplicate it. Then you can drag it right here, and then you can go ahead and you can duplicate it, and then you can drag it right over here. So then this is basically achieved in a way, so like you can have two sections, and inside this section you can have multiple elements onto it. And then what you can do is that you can achieve this design in a way. But let's suppose that if we wanted to build it this way. Let's suppose that if we want to achieve this design, then how are we going to achieve this design? So you can see this is actually a section. Then inside this section we have a column, and inside a column how are we going to basically design this? So for that, here comes a tweak, and that is called the intersection. So how does the intersection works? This will really confuse you guys. Don't worry, just open up your mind, just watch and see what I am doing. All right, so basically you can see that I have a section, and inside this section I have a column, and then I can add an intersection, and then I can add multiple columns into it. Let's take a look at this. Let's suppose that we want to achieve this. So first of all, what we will do is that we will create a section. Let's go ahead and let's do that. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to click on it. I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to first create a section with a single column. All right. And now you can see that this section is created. Now what I need is that I need two columns so that the text can be in here and this boxes can be in here. So what I would do is that I would need to add two columns. So what I will need to do is that I will say that I want to add a new column. And now in here, there should be a text, and then there should be a text editor down below, and then I need a button. All right, so I need it this way. Now I'm going to just do it like this. Now, what I want is that I want two columns right here. I want two columns, and then I want two columns as well. So which means that I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this. So how am I gonna go ahead and how I'm gonna do that? And here comes a tweak, and that tweak is here is actually an intersection. So intersection can be added inside a column, and when you add it, you get a section, and you also get 2 columns by the default. So now what you can do is that you can get an icon box over here, and you can get an icon box over here, and then you can just go ahead and you can duplicate this intersection, so you ultimately get icon box and icon box. Now here you can see that we have ultimately achieved this type of design. So this is what I actually wanted to show you. Now I hope that your confusion is a little bit clear. Now let's take a look at them. Let's overview everything, and then we're going to end this video, and then we will be working up with our styling for the Elementor basics. Now, a section is the one that is the most important thing. Inside a section, there should be a column, and inside a column, there can be any element. Now, elements can be stacked over one another, but elements cannot come as a side by side. And if you want elements to be added side by side, then you should be adding columns, and the columns can be added horizontally, and you can add multiple stuff into it. So if you want to build this design, then you can add 2 columns. Inside the column, you can add an element, and then in here, you can add an element right here, and you can achieve design this way. Now, you can have multiple columns, and the columns can only be stacked horizontally, which means that the column can be added this way, but column cannot come right down below. If you want to achieve this design, then you have 2 options. Either you can create 2 sections and add columns into it, or you can create a section, add a column, and then you can add an intersection and add multiple columns to it, and then you can add an intersection and add multiple columns to it to achieve this particular thing. Now I hope that you have got a clear idea of how everything worked so far. So from the next video, we will learn the basic styling of Elementor, and after that, we will be going ahead and we will be designing this website. So stay tuned guys, and bye-bye.